welcome. We've got the Christmas lights up. Look at that. How cool was that? Welcome to PommyInOz. I'm Pom. Lovely to meet you all. If you are new around here, please drop a like and drop a subscribe. It means a lot. We're a good community around here. We try and look after each other. And basically, it's just me chatting crap about sport and all things that I love. And today, because we know I'm a big sports fan, I thought I'd go through some childhood icons or players that before 21 in a various sports gave me a lot of happy memories. And I'd love to hear your guys and girls who invokes for you, who stands out for you. And what I'm going to start off with, we know I love me golf, and that is Sergio Garcia. Now, this guy is just, for me, one of my favourite players ever. And, you know, being luxurious enough to see Sergio play was just an absolute dream. And I always remember 99 at Medina, where he was behind the tree and he hit that big fade from around the tree, runs up the fairway. I've always loved me Spanish players. When I was brought up, my nan was a big Seve fan, big Seve Ballesteros fan, and I used to love going to see him with my nan and pop. An absolute jet, and I always remember there's something about the Spanish when they play golf. I remember Seve in his interview, and they asked him what his philosophy is on golf, and he was like, I go and find the ball, I hit it very hard, I go and find it and hit it very hard again. And Sergio kind of summed that. I love sportsmen that are erratic, that play with their heart on their sleeve. Big fan of players like Nick Kyrgios now. I love people who are emotional. And for me, it shows me that they're invested in the game. I know some people call it petulance. I see it another way. And Sergio was probably the first golfer I ever saw that broke that mode of prim and proper, you know, smashing golf clubs against the tee markers, throwing shoes into the lake. It was all or nothing for Sergio, and I remember when he won the US Masters, I had a tear in my eye because it's someone I followed since I was very young, and someone that I just always loved. I loved Sergio, the loop, little fan off at the top of his backswing, the wrist action through the ball, the waggle that's set up and addressed. Just loved Serge, everything about him, and Sergio's definitely in my top 5 of, I'd say, childhood icons, we'll call them. The next one is CR7. Now, I'm old enough to remember CR7 when he first came along from Sporting Lisbon, and he was just a jet, wasn't he? I remember when he first came, and I remember we went to go to Old Trafford with my pop, and we went to go and see him, and he was this spangly streak of a character. And I remember my pop saying he's not going to last very long in today's game, because he was just, all he was about was the chops and the step overs, and he looked really light framed. He had this like little soppy, little bleached, little long bit of hair on his fringe. He didn't look like the top footballer that he would become, and then something happened to him. He got stronger, he got fitter, and he was just an absolute jet. I remember watching the Portsmouth game, and he did the knuckleball, that flat free kick that goes top bins, one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And yeah, someone that just always brings happy memories back when I see him. Even now when I see him play, still going strong. Someone that I just remember when I was a kid, I just used to watch him, especially as a teenager, just be like, this kid is class. Up next, though, is my childhood hero, Ali McCoy. This guy was an absolute beast. Can't tell you, as a Rangers fan, this guy gave me so many happy memories. Deadly inside 6 yards. Tell you, he was deadly in the box. Could do it all as well, could do it all. Top striker, just had the knack of hitting top bins, top left bins, bottom bins, whatever bin you wanted, this guy could hit it. Scored so many goals, so understated as well. He was just such a cool, classy, casual customer, and someone that I just enjoyed playing. Many a time when I was a kid, I was Ali playing, you know, Wembley singles, as we used to call it, and man, just happy memories, just seeing his face. And then when he was the coach of my great club, even better. He was just someone that just invokes what it's about to be in my great football club, and someone that I just can't thank enough. Like, it's hard to imagine at the time when you used to go and watch him, he was going to become a legend of the club, and it never really dawned on you while he was playing, but then when he retired, you remember it. I always thought he was dicked a little bit as a coach. He was a tremendous coach, tremendous motivator. Sadly missed by the club at the moment, but I love his punditry. Absolutely love it, and an absolute hero of mine. And there's another hero as well, Rangers fame, Paul Gascoigne, one of the most magical players I've ever seen with ball at his feet. This guy could dribble in a hurricane. Absolute peach of a player. Had a right foot, had a left foot. He was like Argentinian, but he was an English guy. absolute crazy. When he came to Rangers, he was just after his fated spell at Lazio, and he was a different class. What this guy could do with a soccer ball, what he couldn't do wasn't worth knowing. One of the most purest players I've ever seen. Had his off-the-field issues, but all you've got to do is Google the goal he scored against Scotland in the Euro 96, where he gets the ball, flicks it over Hendry's head, who was no mug, very good centre-back, flicks it back over, right foot finish, absolute perler, a jet of a player. One of my favourite players, one of my heroes. I was fortunate enough to meet him in Dorset, where he was, and he was an absolute gent of a guy as well. Wonderful bloke, Paul Gascoigne, one of my favourite footballers of all time. And finally, it wouldn't be a POM video about sport without a weird and wonderful sport. And the weird and wonderful sport we're going to talk about today is darts. And that is Phil the Power Taylor. Honestly, darts in the UK, I can't quite describe darts because a lot of Aussies don't get it and a lot of other countries don't get it. But darts is just one of the greatest events of all time. Great spectator sport. And I like the sports that you can sit at home and watch and, quite easily play yourself. And there's something quite, I think, amusing about a game that you see every day played in a pub in the UK. Suddenly have, cheerleaders, loud music, football chants. It's an absolute crazy thing. And Phil Taylor reminds me of that crazy thing. I loved it. I was always, my nana loved her darts and she was very BDO. If you don't know, BDO and PDC, there's two different kind of ownerships, governing bodies. And BDO is very traditionalist. It's the oldest one. They used to play at Lakeside and the Sky Sports Herne Run 1, PDC, is played at Ali Pali. And yeah, she was very traditionalist Lakeside, it's more like a working man's club. PDC is like, the opera of darts. And yeah, first time I saw PDC, I remember my granddad got Sky Sports, we watched it, and I was just like, wow. There's just like guys drinking beer, coming out to music. It was like WWE. I was a big fan of WWE at the time. And this changed my life. And Phil Taylor became fast my first hero. Phil the Power Taylor, his music, I got the power, just really invokes it. And it was privileged when I went to Ali Pali to see him because the noise when his music played, was just crazy, man. Honestly, one of my favourite heroes as well. I just love Phil. When he retired, I was gutted. I'm a big fan of Michael Van Gerwen and also the Aussie guy Whitlock as well, the Wizard. Absolute brilliant players. But Phil Taylor was just a hero growing up, an absolute jet. And I implore anyone to go and watch the darts. He came over to Melbourne a couple of years ago. It's quite not the same because there was some dickheads there, but genuinely it's an absolute epic sport. And they're my 5 heroes. Let me know in the comments who's your heroes. I'll do a football related one, but obviously I can only talk about football from my late 20s. So these are my ones. Let me know your childhood ones. I'd love to know what everyone's are. I'd love to know what memories just invoked sport to you from when you were a younger man or woman. Let me know. We'll have a discussion and check some of these guys on the highlights. Pom out.